we have the pleasure of being joined by both Chani Okert and Ashley Wright, who will be our incredible speakers today, giving you all wonderful last minute tips for Giving Tuesday, as we are, I think, exactly 2 weeks out, almost a little less than 2 weeks out. So with that, I will pass it to you, Chani, to kind of get us kicked off here.
Hey, thank you, Ashley. So yes, today's agenda is full. And what I'd like to do today is make sure that if there's any gaps in your planning, we're going to go ahead and go through the whole plans for Giving Tuesday and December fundraising. We're going to be talking about some of the tools that you can be used, setting your fundraising and communication plans. I'm giving you some dates to follow so that you know what needs to go out when. And then finally, because it is less than 2 weeks out, how we can leverage AI to make sure that we can efficiently create all of the content that we need to create for this. We actually work with my clients, my coaching clients, and we do this within an hour. So if you have an opportunity to take an hour of your day later today and use AI to just knock out all of the materials that you're going to need for Giving Tuesday and for the rest of December fundraising, that would be ideal. So just plan to take that extra hour. Maybe just say that this webinar is lasting 2 hours instead of 1 hour. It's also really helpful with AI is that you have consistency. So that means that donors will recognize the theme and your mission throughout this campaign, and it won't get lost in all of the other Giving Tuesday and December fundraising appeals because it has that consistency. So AI is incredibly useful and important for us as fundraisers to be utilizing in our day-to-day work. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in. So did you participate in Giving Tuesday last year? Let's take that poll. I just want to see, did you participate? So go ahead and open that poll and find out if you participated. And so if you ask for donations only, that's pretty common. That's the normal. But there are also organizations that are also recognizing their supporters, their volunteers, and asking for those volunteers to come and volunteer during the day of Giving Tuesday. Maybe you just recognized your supporters. You didn't ask, but you recognized them. Or did you not participate at all? So go ahead and put the results or what you did last year into the poll. So just giving that just a moment here. Go ahead and fill that out.
It looks like most people just asked for donations only. And then a good amount of people didn't participate last year.
Okay.
But yeah, the overwhelming majority asked for donations only. Yeah, so which is interesting. And Chani, we have a couple people in the chat that might be having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure if it's possible to maybe get closer to the mic if you have, or I think I can hear you fine, but just wanted to
Okay,
cover
let me
all the
just speak
bases
up.
here. Oh,
I
okay,
can
that
speak up.
that
There
sounds
we
good.
go. I will
That
speak
sounds
up.
good.
There you go.
Thank
So,
you.
okay, thank you so much. So with Giving Tuesday, it is always it's always the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So it is a worldwide, global day of giving that we encourage folks to give it. It is an opportunity to reach out to especially new supporters on Giving Tuesday. So let's go ahead and move forward and talk about some of the relevant statistics for us to keep in mind related to December fundraising and also Giving Tuesday. So you may feel this crunch. This might be why you're here. 30% of all annual giving from individuals comes in December. Makes this month really important for all of us. So that's when a lot of the giving comes. Now, with Giving Tuesday, something that's interesting to know is that if you're soliciting supporters a week prior to Giving Tuesday, so this is the right time frame, they will respond more generously. So what the key takeaways here is that we don't wait till Giving Tuesday to launch the campaign. We actually start now. And in fact, Meta, in their internal statistics, has shown that those nonprofits that actually launch the first post about Giving Tuesday 2 weeks prior, so that's right now, 2 weeks prior, are more successful in their Giving Tuesday. So this is the time to launch your campaign for Giving Tuesday. And as I mentioned, we'll talk about it at the very end, but as I mentioned, you can use AI today to create those posts so that they're ready and you can post them today. So we can do this. So moving forward, we also want to think about matched giving. Is it possible for you to reach out to your board members today and ask them if they would help you leverage additional giving by matching or challenging donors to give. What we know is that matches are incredibly effective. So without a match for a giving day, the average raised is $4,674. With a match gift, this is how important it is. The average raised is $28,312. It's huge. So this is the opportunity. This might be, it might be a possibility for you to do, is to reach out to your board members and ask if they will go ahead and give a match or give a challenge. You can pull them all together, and then you can encourage donors to give by saying, thanks to a group of generous donors, or thanks to our group of generous board members, we are challenging you to give, and all dollars will be matched 1-to-1. So think about that for today. So as we move forward, another thing to be thinking about is your goals. Now, when we talk about goals, it can seem a little nebulous, like how do I create goals for Giving Tuesday? How do I create goals for December? Well, the best way to do that is to look and see what happened last year. So you look to see what happened last year. You look to see who has not yet given in 2024. They gave last year, but have not yet given in 2024. And then we think about just the methods that we're using, and then we create a goal. Why does having a goal matter? Well, having a goal can excite donors to give. Now, when we are thinking about our goals, we want to make sure that they're reasonable, that we will meet them. So if you can imagine this, imagine we set a goal of, let's just say, $1,000 for Giving Tuesday. $1,000 for Giving Tuesday, and last year you raised $500. Well, if you set a goal of 1,000 and you don't make it, it's going to be discouraging to donors. But if you set the goal as 250 and you raise 500, that is going to be so exciting, and that will actually create more momentum. So whatever your goal is, whether or not, let's say you raised 10,000 or 60,000, last year, you always want to think about how can we dial that back a little bit to ensure that not only we meet the goal, but then we exceed the goal. And by exceeding the goal creates momentum, more excitement, and then more people give. So these are the two primary strategies that we look at for year-end giving. What is our match? And what is our goal? Now, you're going to be looking also to see what is likely for people to respond by what methods you use. So there is enough time, just barely enough time, to send out a direct mail piece to your donors. If you primarily have older donors in your database, you want to be thinking about a direct mail strategy. That response rate is 10%. An email strategy for younger donors is going to be 0.25% response rate. So we want to make sure that we're reasonable with our goals based on what we have the capability of implementing for this giving season. So we just keep that in mind, because if, let's say, last year you were just killing it and you had everything ready by September, and you could do all of the things, your goal might have been a lot higher for last year. Whereas if this year things just happen, your capacity is just not where you could plan everything beforehand, you don't have the materials ready, let's go ahead and make sure that we look at what actual methods can we use to reach out to donors and then set the goal. So it might be that we're even more reasonable, even more conservative than we would be normally, because we know we just don't have the ability to send out all of the messages that we need to provide all of the ways that donors can give. So again, staying reasonable with our goal setting so we can meet and exceed them. So as we think about this, let's go ahead and look at how this could look in your donor database. So Ashley, what are some of the reporting tools you can use?
Yeah, so within our systems or any type of database system that you're utilizing, we really want to look at being able to determine what your goals are going to be for this year based on the prior year. So being able to determine the best groups of individuals to engage with on Giving Tuesday for year-end giving are going to be being able to segment your contributors who gave last year in November and December, your recurring donors, your larger donors, as well as your younger demographic. And then Also, you can create these reports within, the Bonterra Network for Good solution, as well as other CRM systems to be able to track this information so you can be successful with your outreach for Giving Tuesday and year end specifically.
Yes, thank you. So then let's go ahead and talk about the overall plan that we have for year-end giving. So there's 4 main aspects of Giving Tuesday and year-end planning for December. First is you want to have mission-centered content. It's telling a compelling story. It's using a persuasive call to action to donors to join with your mission, to give. You're creating that compelling action so they know exactly what to do. Saying, oh, just support us, that's not enough. We have to say, give today, donate now. Then we look at the giving platforms. How will they be giving? So making sure that we build an accessible online giving page. That if we do send out a direct mail piece, because you do have enough time, that you include a return envelope so that you can accept those checks. You want to also determine the additional ways to give. Can you put a QR code? Are you going to use Venmo or PayPal? What are the different avenues that you're going to be giving donors to make their gifts? So think about all of those giving platforms. Don't try to start one, but do think about what are those different avenues that you currently have that you can easily use for donors to give. Then we're going to think about what are their asking methods. What are those methods that donors are currently using to give to your organizations? When you run that report, take a look to see, are these donors giving by check? Are these donors giving online? And then offer the methods that your current donors use. So if they're primarily giving online and email is going to be your best strategy, really focus on email. If you're looking at your all of your response rates to text messages and you're finding that donors are responding to text messages, really focus on that method. So think about what is the primary method that donors are using. And then I would encourage you, if you have time, as you're creating the AI, as you're looking at it, experiment with one additional giving method. Just one. Don't try to do a lot of everything. We want to really focus on what is our donors are going to likely to respond to, and then try one thing differently. And then finally, we cannot forget the foundational aspect for all that we do, which is that we are grateful for the generosity of donors. They don't have to give to us. And so we want to make sure that we're retaining our donors year over year so that they continue to want to choose our nonprofit as their charity of choice. They have a lot of options. We're just one of the charities that they're supporting. And so by saying thank you and showing how grateful we are for their gifts, then they are likely to continue to give. So we want to begin to immediately thank our donors. As you're building your campaign through AI, we're going to actually think about what are some of the thank you messages that we need to send out to. With that, build those messages today, and then plan to share the impact of their donations with the donors. We want to think about actually scheduling that in, using a donor database to help reminding us so that we make sure that we share that impact with donors. So those are the elements that we need to think about. As we think about, let's go ahead and talk about that first element, which is those giving methods. So Ashley, can you talk about a giving page and what needs to be on a giving page?
Yeah, of course. And so within a giving page, whether it be a standard giving page or specifically for something like a Giving Tuesday or year end, we really want to focus on encouraging individuals to contribute. So you're going to want to incorporate, your imaging, your branding, your message and call to action. You're also going to want to include things like goal thermometers, utilize countdown tickers or expiration dates to really encourage individuals to give within a specific time frame. You're going to want to leverage matching gifts, as Chani had mentioned earlier, the impact that can really make on an organization. You can even set recommended donation amounts as well as impact statements to express where a gift could be going to encourage individuals to contribute. And then also being able to share stories, include things like Giving Tuesday collateral, videos, and images to really encourage those individuals to feel compelled to give.
Yes, and this is so important to think about, especially related to that creating the urgency. Having that expiration date, a lot of donors think of December 31st as a psychological deadline, and so we use that. Or they're thinking about Giving Tuesday. Oh, Giving Tuesday is on December 3rd. I have to give before midnight. So using that urgency really matters. Now, as I mentioned, we are tight with timelines. So another question that you can ask your board members to do is to consider a peer-to-peer campaign, meaning that they're going to encourage their friends to give. And so let's talk about a peer-to-peer giving page.
So with peer-to-peer, it's something that I recommend to every nonprofit that I work with to really get their board members involved in, as well as their larger donors, as well as volunteers. But it's a really great opportunity to expand the organization's outreach through personal asks by, their current contributors. And so within a peer-to-peer campaign, again, you can set those goal thermometers, those expiration dates, still utilize those countdown tickers. You can incorporate what we call as a donor scroll to really share a donor's impact on giving. So, where they could share how much they contributed, why they support the organization, include social media sharing. So, individuals can share they support you all through their own social media platforms. Those individuals can also tell their story and share videos and images surrounding Giving Tuesday and why they feel impacted to support the organization and compelled. And on those individual personal pages, those individuals, again, can include their own imaging, videos, goal thermometers, and personal reasons for fundraising. And it's a really great opportunity to, again, expand your donor outreach, find new types of donors that you all may not have had access to, and continue that organic networking.
Okay, thank you. So 2 asks for today for board members. See if they'll give a matching gift or a challenge gift, and see if they'll set up a peer-to-peer giving page. Now, as we're thinking about Giving Tuesday was traditionally something that was done through Facebook. And so there is some considerations you need to think about as you're planning for Giving Tuesday this year. So if you're thinking about using Meta and using their giving platforms, so there's some important things that you have to think about. First, are you enrolled in the PayPal Giving Fund through Meta? If you are not, to be honest, you probably don't have enough time. That doesn't mean that you won't use Meta and you won't use Instagram and Facebook for your social media posts. Absolutely, you're going to be still using those. Instead of using the Facebook fundraiser, you'll just use the link for your everyday giving page. So whatever your giving page is, you'll use that link. Because if you're not enrolled, it will just take too much time to get enrolled. So check that off your list first. Then you're going to look at how many of your followers on Meta's social platforms are also in your current contact list. One of the challenges with using social media for their fundraiser or for this Facebook fundraisers is that donors have to opt in to give you their information. And so what can happen is that donors can be frustrated when you don't thank them for their gift. But if they didn't provide the information to you, they didn't opt in to provide you the information, it becomes very difficult to thank donors. So it's something to think about of, do we use the Facebook or Instagram fundraising platforms, or do we think about using just our everyday giving page so that we can collect more contact information? Then you're going to be thinking about, have you regularly encouraged your followers to provide their contact information? Are you saying, hey, fill out the survey, sign up for our e-newsletter? Are you doing those things? If you're doing those things, then you can be more confident that those donors are likely on social media, are likely to provide their contact information. So again, we're weighing the risks and the rewards. The risk is donors getting upset that we don't say thank you to them. And the rewards is a new group of new group of donors from your followers who already care about your mission because they've been following you. So we're thinking about that. And then the final thing that you have to think about when you're considering whether or not to use Meta's and their giving platforms is, are you planning to use advertising to promote your posts and those fundraisers? What we know is that organic posts have a 3%, or only 3% of your followers will see organic posts. So it's a fairly small group of your followers who will actually see those posts. So if you're planning on using advertising and you have the budget, it is something that you will want to do to make sure that you're promoting your posts and you're promoting those fundraisers if you're using the Facebook fundraisers so that it's more effective for you. So do you have that budget? And if you do, then again, we can use AI to create the images that we need, the posts that we need, and then we can go ahead and make sure that it's effective use of your time. So if you have any questions, there are definitely resources for you through Meta to look at their PayPal Giving Fund and the question, and they have help articles about using the Facebook and Instagram fundraisers. So go ahead and make sure that you're utilizing those resources. Moving on, let's get into the meats and potatoes about what we need to think about. So here's the calendar that I am recommending to all my clients for Giving Tuesday. So as you can see, it starts today. We want to start today. And that is that we're going to encourage board members. This is the third thing that we're doing. We're encouraging board members to give and post the giving page that you have set up. So we're going to take an hour, create all of the content, create your giving page, and then post it today on social media. We're also going to encourage board members to give, because if we see that goal thermometer as donors, so put yourself in the donor shoes, if we see the giving thermometer on December 3rd for Giving Tuesday and the giving thermometer is at 0, we're going to wonder whether or not we should give to that nonprofit, right? So you want to make sure that you encourage donors to give through the platform that you're using for Giving Tuesday. Go ahead and give through that platform, give first so that you don't start at 0, and then for them to post it on social media. Then we're going to look, the next big date is on November 30th. That is after Thanksgiving. And we're going to remind donors of Giving Tuesday. So how are we going to remind them? Well, we're going to be thinking about are we going to send out emails? Are we going to send out texts? Are we going to send out videos? So we want to remind donors that Giving Tuesday is coming. And then the day before Giving Tuesday, we want to build excitement. Say, guess what? Giving Tuesday is coming. We're going to join that global day of giving. And we're excited that you can be a part of this. Giving Tuesday's tomorrow. So again, we're going to think about emails, text messages, videos, and sending those out on December 3rd, and social media, of course. And then on December 3rd, we're going to post multiple times on social media. Today's the day. Give updates, thank donors, share what's happening, talk about how you're reaching your goal. Tell donors that this is the last opportunity to give before midnight on Giving Tuesday. Throughout the day, you're going to think about some of those messages that you're going to give. Again, we'll use AI to easily create all of these messages, but we are going to be posting them. The good news is when we use AI to create all of this content today, we can schedule it in. So we can schedule it to post on our social media. We can schedule to post, we can schedule the emails to go out. So we know we can schedule those text messages. We know that donors can go ahead, donors will receive the messages when we need to, as we're planning to get to be out for Thanksgiving. So from there so December 3rd, now the thing that we don't want to forget is we don't want to forget saying thank you to donors. So December 4th is the next most important day. And that is to say thank you to donors and start stewarding them. So you can make all of those posts, you can craft those emails, you can craft those videos to go out on December 4th, scheduling them to go out. And then the final date to keep aware of is March 3rd. And that's when we're going to be sending an impact report to our donors and our supporters to let them know that their donations mattered. What impact are they having on the stories of the lives of our constituents, the stories of the places we serve, the stories of the work that we are doing? So we want to send out those impact reports. Now, when we think about the rest of December, it's going to be very similar. And that is, if you do have a time to send out a letter, you're going to go ahead and craft your fundraising theme and your letter today. Again, we're using AI. We're going to craft that today. If you have a small donor database, it is possible to go ahead and send out a fundraising letter to your donors if you have an older donor base where it really matters. So today is the day to think about that. There's still enough time for that. And then on the 22nd, which is Friday, we're going to want to send out the first fundraising email if you have not sent that out yet. And this is going to be talking about just giving in general for your organization as a part of that year-end giving. The next most important date in December is December 13th. That's when we're going to stop. We're going to use our reporting, and we're going to be looking at who might be lapsed donors. These are donors who gave in 2023, but they have not given in 2024, and they still haven't given. And so we want to make sure that we're reaching out to those donors and reminding them to give. And so we're going to use a different fundraising method than we had prior. So remember how I said that have your typical asking method that you're using with your donors that you know they tend to respond to. And then I said, plan for one additional method. This is the method you're going to switch to reach out to those lapsed donors. Is it a postcard? Is it an email? Is it a text message? Is it a video? So you're making a plan to follow up with those lapsed donors on December 13th. And then one strategy, depending on how things are going with your donors, and we're always adapting, is to think about sending out 3 emails in 4 days on December 28th, 30th, and 31st. Remember how I said that creating urgency really matters, and December 31st is one of those deadline dates that we can use psychologically? Well, that is what we're looking at, is creating that deadline, that sense of urgency. And so in the first email on December 28th, we're sharing a story. We're sharing the story about why the work matters. And then on the 30th, we're shortening that email up, referencing the story and saying, give before midnight tomorrow night. And then on the 31st, we send out a very short email, all of this with donate buttons, to say, give before midnight. It's that last push, especially for your online donors. And then the next most important day is January 2nd. We come back to the office and we make sure that we're sending out our thank yous. We're starting to steward our donors. And then March 3rd, again, we're going to be thinking about sharing our impact stories. So I hope you've captured those dates. We are sending out the slides, but these are the most important dates coming up. So from here, let's go ahead and talk about sending messages through text and emails.
So within our database system with the Bonterra Network for Good solution, as well as other database solutions, obviously communication is going to be something that's extremely imperative when communicating with your contacts and donors. And so a few things that you can do, especially now and by utilizing the calendar that Chani just went over, is launching an email marketing campaign centered around Giving Tuesday, staying in touch with those individuals throughout the day and December. So keep in mind throughout Giving Tuesday, someone might have made a donation, but it's really great to reach out to those supporters to encourage how much that has really impacted your organization, with the hopes that they're going to, keep expressing that and continue to engage with your organization, as well as sharing that with their personal networks to encourage them to also contribute and keep that momentum going. And not just on Giving Tuesday, but throughout all of year end as well. Focus on increasing your donor retention through outreach. So again, just making sure, whether it's the smallest donation or the largest, that you're still making that individual known that they've made that impact for your organization, no matter the gift size, and continuing to build those relationships with those individuals. And then, of course, following up and thanking those individuals, whether it be through email marketing, whether it be through the texting. Texting has been a great opportunity for organizations to get a quick message out, to encourage individuals to support through texting as well, sending them a quick thank you, letting them donate right from a text message. So there's a lot of different opportunities that are available to increase overall giving and support for the organization.
Great. So one of the hesitancies I often hear is about mobile messaging. So in the chat, I want to see what your reaction is. and that is thinking about that text messaging. If you haven't yet tried text messaging, what is your hesitation? So go ahead and put that into chat. I'm just curious. What is your hesitation about that? So go ahead and type in chat if you haven't yet used it, what your hesitation is.
Chani, while folks are chatting, we did have a question that I think is kind of something that we can build upon is, or if you don't mind just talking about what you mean by stewarding your donors and like what that kind of entails, just at kind of a high level for folks that might not be too familiar with that.
Yeah, stewardship is twofold. Stewardship is saying thank you. It's going beyond the tax receipt. A tax receipt is not a thank you. A tax receipt is a legal document. So we want to think about going beyond that to say thank you to your donors. And we're going to be talking about some of the ways that you can say thank you. But stewardship is also inviting them to understand the impact that they're having through their donations on your mission. And so that is that impact reporting. We're going to be talking a lot more about stewardship coming up, but it's that twofold, saying thank you and sharing impact. Hey, any hesitancies that you wanted to point out?
Yeah, there a couple of people say that they feel like it might be a little intrusive or they're just worried that their donors might feel overwhelmed with, you know, texts from other organizations, theirs, especially with the last election season. I'm sure a lot of people got political text messages. So just worried about people feeling overwhelmed and also not having the proper tools to do that. Not wanting to do that one by one, which is understandable.
Yes, yeah, there are tools to make this easier. So that is something that you do want to make sure that you're using a platform before you're engaging in a text messaging or mobile messaging campaign. It is just too much work to do individual text messages. I 100% agree with that hesitancy. In terms of the hesitancy around sending out texts, what we know is that donors open their texts and they open them within 15 minutes. So it ranges in the high 90s. It goes up and down a little bit, but high 90s of how quickly donors open the text messages. So they are opening them. So what we want to think about is what are the different types of messaging that we can send out via text that's beyond just asking for money. So example of this from one of my coaching clients here with Bonterra is that I had this client had you created a accessible playground for their kids to use, and it was a beautiful playground, and they had short 15-minute videos of various aspects of, or 15 seconds, not 15 minutes, short 15-second videos of various aspects of that playground. And what they did is they sent out a link to those videos via text messages. And so as these parents were waiting in the carpool line, they were looking at the videos and they were smiling and they were immediately responding, oh, wow, that's great. I'm so excited that my contribution mattered. There was that immediate response. And so text messaging can be a wonderful way to send out videos to have more engagement with the donors. So it's not always asking, but it's a part of that bigger campaign around year-end giving and around Giving Tuesday to say, this is the impact that your donation will matter, even if you're not always asking. You don't always have to ask in a text message. So do you think that answers some of that hesitancy?
Definitely. Yeah. I think some folks might be discouraged because they don't want to just come off as, hey, I'm asking for money. But I think that to your point, just showcasing the impact of your dollar or just the impact of the organization as a whole can definitely not feel as so transactional and really just bring awareness to your organization. So I think that can answer some of the hesitancies I'm seeing in the chat here.
Yes, great. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on and think about that storytelling. So we were just touching on that storytelling in the video that I just mentioned, showing the playground. What we always want to think about when we're telling a story is creating an emotional hook. And you might say, well, my organization is not kids or puppies, which, yes, we understand that those two have a built-in emotional hook. Every mission that we have has an emotional hook. We just have to find it. There is some reason why donors want to donate to your organization. They have shared that with you already. Find what is that engagement? Why are they giving? And create your emotional hook around that. It could be, as I looked out, I saw the beautiful sunrise. I was so inspired. Maybe that's for a place that you're serving. So you create that emotional hook that draws the donor immediately in. And then we tell a concrete one-oriented story, meaning that we don't tell the story of all of these statistics, because that's a head. We give with our hearts. We give with our hearts and we justify with our heads, but we give with our hearts. So we're going to tell a concrete one-oriented story. One person, one animal, one thing, one artifact in the museum, one location that they're serving, one bill, and how that will impact the life of one person or one place or one idea. So we think about that one oriented story and we tell that story and we begin there. And then as we're sharing that story, we broaden it out and say, not only is it this person, this place, this thing, this important action that occurs through your donation, it is more. And then we're sharing that impact that donors can have through your mission. And we share that impact of giving and how the donor can be a part of the solution. Because donors want to feel like they're making a difference. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but they really do want to feel like they're making a difference. They have a lot of charities that they can choose from. They want to know that their donation matters. So we share that impact that they have through giving. And we then follow up with a concrete, persuasive call to action. We don't just say, support us. We say, give, donate, so that they know what to do next. As we're thinking about that storytelling, we want to then use AI. So let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to use AI to make this possible for you. Because I know this sounds pretty overwhelming, especially if we have 2 weeks to go before Giving Tuesday. So let's just talk about what we're going to be doing. So we've created that story. We've thought about, okay, what is the emotional hook? What is the concrete story? What is the impact? And we actually use AI. We put that into AI, using that as a prompt, saying, create a compelling email from this story for fundraising. We add in, what tone do we want to use? How long do we want that email to be? So you add in those other appropriate prompts, but you're using that. You add in those, and we then create a compelling theme, a letter, email, social media posts, text messages, and we can also use it for engaging images and videos. So where we start is we're going to use that story. We're going to say, create a theme from this particular story that we can use for Giving Tuesday. Then we go ahead and say, using this theme with this story, create a compelling or create a persuasive fundraising letter that is, and you say 500 words, or you choose how many words. You create an asset to create that. Then we tweak it, because we don't want it to sound like AI, but we tweak it. We can make sure that our language, our messaging is in there. Then we take that letter and we ask AI to create 3 emails that are a certain length from this letter. You could actually say, create 5 if you wanted, so you can create as many as you want, so that you can have some options. Look at those emails, see which ones fit. And then this is where AI, I think, shines, is then we say, using this letter, so again, we're having that consistent theme. We can say, create 10 compelling, create 10 persuasive fundraising Facebook posts for Giving Tuesday. And so that will develop all of those social media posts. It will have a suggested image and a suggested caption. And sometimes way too many emojis that you might want to take out some of those emojis. And then you'll go ahead and add in the giving page with those with those particular posts. You can also then say, using this letter, again, create a concise fundraising text message. Create a concise, impact-oriented text message. Create a concise, impact-oriented email video. So you just, again, you're creating that. And then finally, you can use a different platform, ChatGPT. If you have the pro version, you can go ahead and ask it to create images, but you can also use Canva. You can also use various different other platforms, and you can go ahead and create an image. What I know is that this is the hard time to be going back through all of your photos and trying to find that perfect photo. That's where we can use AI and note it as a photo illustration to create an image that will go with all of our campaign. Make sure that it doesn't look weird, but that's how AI can really be helpful. So as I'm working with my coaching clients, I actually spend an hour and we do all of this. And you have the ability to create all of this content within an hour. So I would encourage you, again, take an hour, use AI to create all your content. So from here, let's go ahead and talk about what do you do after Giving Tuesday? Well, first of all, we want to start celebrating the success that we're seeing. Celebrate with the donors that they are joining in with the mission that you're serving. Then we're going to adjust our plans. Remember, I said December 13th is a really important date to look at who has not yet given. So we're going to adjust those plans. And then afterwards, so after in January, we're going to go ahead and evaluate how things have gone and see if there's any changes that we need to make for next year. So we're celebrating, adjusting, and evaluating. Now, there is a really helpful tool for this, and I want to have Ashley share what that tool is.
So built into the Bonterra Network for Good solution, we have actually put together what we call our year-end engagement plan. We have one specific for Giving Tuesday. We actually create these different engagement plans based on seasonality throughout the year. But it's a really great opportunity for organizations that, one, don't necessarily feel like they have the time or the capacity to get something in place in time for Giving Tuesday and end of year. So it's pre-crafted communications like emails, physical mailers, text messages, video scripts, social media posts with specific calendar dates and times on when you should be sending those out to your contacts and donors. And so your organization would select the individuals that you would like those to go to. And then from there, it starts that cadence of individuals receiving those messages surrounding year end and Giving Tuesday specifically. So it's a really great opportunity. About 90% of the work has already been done for you, like our fundraising experts have put together, like Chani and our other team members here. So it's a really great opportunity to engage individuals without having to put in a ton of work, but being able to see some really awesome results from that as well.
And with that, one of the important things about having an engagement plan, whether or not you're using this engagement plan or one through your donor database or just a plan that you've created based on the webinar today, is that you want to think about suppressing those donors who have given so they don't continue to get fundraising messages from you. Because there's nothing more annoying to a donor if they've given you a donation and then you immediately send them another fundraising email. Of course, you can always talk to the donor and say, hey, I'm so sorry. The letter got crossed in the mail. The email got crossed in the digital world. We can explain that and apologize to donors, but it's better if we just suppress them so that any current donors who have already given during this time period don't continue to get messages from us. So as we continue forward, we want to think about that stewardship plan. As I mentioned, stewardship is thanking donors and it's sharing impact. We do need to send out timely tax receipts. It annoys donors if they have to request a tax receipt from us. So we want to make sure that we meet our legal obligations there. Then we want to think about how can we personalize thank yous to those donors so that they know that their donation matters. It could be a note, a handwritten note. It could be an email. It could be phone calls. Could be phone calls from donors or from board members. And it can also be videos. What we're seeing, and this is probably because of TikTok, what we're seeing is that donors really love personalized videos. So we want to think about that as a part of our strategy. And then we're always scheduling those impact reports to make sure that donors understand why their donations matter. So I want to really focus on that video piece. So Ashley, what can be done with video?
So a really awesome opportunity to engage your contacts and donors is through video messaging and video acknowledgments. So, I mean, you can send an email or a letter or a text message, but nothing is going to be as personalized as sending an actual video message to your contacts and donors to express either their gratitude for your support, the impact that you've made on their organization, or how you can continue to support the organization. And so, within the Bonterra Network for Good solution, you do have the ability to actually send these messages out directly from the database system. They can be embedded directly into an email communication along with a text message, so they can be viewed right then and there without having to click out externally. I know that there's other solutions that you could also utilize, like a YouTube or Vimeo, to embed these on other communications if you weren't utilizing our system internally. But regardless, it's such an impactful way to engage your contacts and donors in a different way and have that personal connection by utilizing the video messaging.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about video messaging is you can choose your background. And so if, for example, you're a conservation organization, why not go out at sunset and utilize the beauty of your landscapes and say thank you there? Or if you're a museum, going to one of the exhibits and having that in the background. Or maybe it's a classroom because you're serving kids. You have the opportunity to have that video, video background actually tell the story of your mission, so donors can feel more engaged into it. So there's a lot of opportunities with video. Now, as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with one last thought. Remember, something is better than nothing. I know that it is overwhelming right now. And you may be looking at all of this and say, I can just do one thing. Just do that one thing because something is better than nothing. And know that it's an opportunity for you to give the opportunities to donors to give through your organization to the missions and the causes that they care about. So we want to think about what is possible for you to do and focusing on that, on those things. So with that, let's open it up for questions.
Awesome. Thank you both for such an insightful presentation and super helpful with lots of great tips, especially that calendar. I know, we're kind of to the wire here, but great for folks to have that visual of what they can do right now and what they can do before Giving Tuesday and after. So thank you both. So before we just get into Q&A, I do want to launch another poll here, folks. If you are interested, again, in learning more about Bonterra, learning more about some of our tools and services that might be able to help you, maybe not in time for Giving Tuesday, but December, and get you started really for the new year and get you on the right foot for that. I'm going to launch another poll here. Again, please feel free to fill that out, and we'll have one of our colleagues reach out to you after we wrap up today to kind of initiate that conversation here. But while folks are filling that out, we'll go ahead and get into Q&A here. I did see a question, not sure exactly who, it got lost in the chat, but they asked about social media posts. And do you think shorter is better, longer is better? What kind of guidelines do you think that one should follow for posts on Facebook or Instagram, whatever platform they're utilizing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So two pieces with this. And I want to do a call out to the chat of, I love how you all were helping each other with AI and talking about what are the tools that you can use. Make sure you take a look through the chat because there's some really helpful options for you to think about. So for social media, shorter is better. Think about this, how people are consuming social media right now. They're consuming it on their phones, right? And so if they're consuming it on their phones, it's going to be short. So it needs to be short. They're also consuming videos more than they're just consuming a message, a longer message. So you're going to think about, and this is where you can use AI. Okay, is there an image that's just compelling and we can use that with a short caption with it? Or is there a video? And it doesn't have to be a professionally videographed video. It can be from your iPhone or from your cell phone. And you can go ahead and take a short video and just say, hey, this is me and you have in the background, let's say you're at a thrift shop, we are getting ready to open because we are so excited that we can provide clothes to those in our community who need them. So that can be a very short 15 seconds, 10-second video that you post on social media. And that is going to be more effective than a long story. So use that, use AI to help you with that. So great question. What else?
Definitely great questions. We've got lots of great questions that hope we can get through as many as we can here. But we had a question come through for someone that is sending a letter, like a physical letter for Giving Tuesday. Would you recommend sending it? Around what time should it arrive by Giving Tuesday, or should we have it arrive after Giving Tuesday, before? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so if possible, you want it to arrive before Giving Tuesday. And you want it to arrive. So when we're thinking about mail times, if you can arrive by Saturday, that would be ideal, but that's pretty tight for you, if for most of us. Because what we know is once we get into Thanksgiving week, mail delivery is going to be it's going to take longer. And so we want to think about either sending it immediately so that it can reach by Saturday, or that it can reach by the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so that donors have the opportunity to open that and then plan to give. And it may seem a little old school to go with letters for Giving Tuesday, because Giving Tuesday tends to be an online giving platform. But I have had a lot of nonprofits who have older donors who love to give to Giving Tuesday through mail. So giving them the opportunity to send a check back in the mail is important. So that return envelope, also including a QR code, because those who are under 45 are very unlikely to have a check. And so you want to be able to allow them to immediately scan that QR code and give online.
Very good call out, Johnny. My grandmother is one of those who loves to give by check. She will not do anything online. We've begged her, she won't budge. So that is very, very true, and also good for the QR code, because I don't have a check. I've never never had a checkbook. So you kind of
Exactly.
catering to both audiences.
Mhm.
Um, Perfect. We have another question came in from Nakia, and she asked, do you advise organizations to use their Giving Tuesday, or just to use the Giving Tuesday as like a goal for their total end of year, or should they have like a specific Giving Tuesday goal that they're reaching?
Yeah, so it can be both and. And the reason why I say can be both and is where you're putting your primary efforts. If you're putting your primary efforts into your overall giving, you'll want to have Giving Tuesdays just as a part of your overall goal. So if it's one of your multiple methods. If you have your primary giving is going to be through Giving Tuesday, then you want to have a goal for Giving Tuesday specifically. And then you'll focus on the other parts of the goal the rest of December. So it's really, where are you putting your primary focus? Giving Tuesday, keep in mind that you do want to make sure that you are very reasonable with your goal, because unless you spend a lot of effort, and when I'm saying a lot of effort, you've started to plan Giving Tuesday since August, you're going to see that you don't have as much return for Giving Tuesday if you're just starting your Giving Tuesday planning right now. It's still important. It's an opportunity to reach out to potential new donors. I encourage you to consider doing Giving Tuesday, but just keep in mind what your goal is and how much time you've put into promoting Giving Tuesday, so that you see what the return will be for that.
Good, very good point there. And we had a question come in, and this is you kind of already answered this, but would love to just expand upon in relation to video messaging. Someone asked, they can't really take videos of like clients per se for confidentiality reasons. So maybe just some recommendations on, if you can't, record the clients that you might be working directly with, what other stories might you be able to tell via video messaging?
So you can tell stories from your staff members who can talk about what change that they see in the work that they're doing. What are some of those, if they are telling the stories of those clients, you can also use volunteers to tell the stories. And then finally, this is where AI can come into play, is that you can, if you have, you can use AI to create images that show what it would be like without actually using an image or a video of a client. So you can also do that. And of course, you're going to disclose that it's a video illustration so that donors know that it's not an actual client, but there are some options there.
Definitely. We had a question come in, and it might be one of our last ones here as we're getting close to time here. But talking about contact information, what do you recommend for gathering contact information? Maybe they have emails, but they don't have phone numbers or vice versa. What are some ways that they can do that?
Yeah. So one of the important things is that in any of our giving platforms, so thinking about your giving page, you're going to actually require that people give you their contact information. Too oftentimes we've been like, oh, we don't want them to take too much time. Well, now our technology has progressed so that everything is saved in our phones. So asking and requiring that people give you their phone numbers, their emails, their physical mailing addresses, that's not difficult any longer because it's saved in our phones. It's saved in our computers. And so don't shy away from requiring it. So do require it. So that's your biggest number one change that you can make to your giving pages, is make sure that those fields are required, because donors will then give you that information if you require it. I actually want to go back to one question I saw really quickly. One of the questions in the chat was, how do you find rich board members to do that match? It doesn't have to be a big match. So for example, I was working with an organization, it was a very grassroots organization. Everyone was passionate about the work. They put together a challenge fund of, I believe, $200. It was really small, but they said, for every donation, we will match it by $10. That was enough to encourage giving. It's a small organization. They did get 20 donors. And they were able to use that match with that. And all of the board members felt like they were empowered to provide additional giving, to leverage that additional generosity. So you don't have to have rich board members. What you have to have is engaged board members. That's what you have to have. So I'll go ahead and turn this back to Ashley as our host.
No, that was great. Thank you for getting to that question. There was lots of great ones that we ultimately couldn't get to because we are at time here, folks. So again, Chani, Ashley, thank you both so much for such a great presentation. Lots of great tips and takeaways that folks can leave with and can implement starting today. So really appreciate that. There's some thank yous in the chat. And thank you folks for staying on the line and staying engaged with us in the chat and Q&A. Always makes for a great session when we have that. So thank you both. And we definitely hope to see you at our next session.